So today, welcome to the Awesome A-Team Sales podcast. I am Camilla Haysler, your host. And today I am relaunching my podcast from its last episode, which was over actually 18 months ago today. So I'm super excited to be presenting my first episode in my new podcast series. And today I'm going to be sharing about my origin story as a business owner and as a career professional in sales. Again, I think the origin story in terms of self-leadership and leadership and growth is such a valuable. And so I'm excited to share my own this week as part of this initial episode. So first of all, I think what's important to say is that I started my entrepreneurial journey a long time before I actually started it. So today I'm going to be speaking about how I went really from the bottom to making progress in my journey. So I had a dream in terms of the life that I wanted for myself. Following my studies, I studied art, fine art and portraiture in Florence. And I had a few dreams at that time, actually. I had an entrepreneurial dream to make an impact and be a business owner, but I also had a dream to lead a better life and create a better life. And I think the reality of that time was that I was having to endure certain conditions, an environment that perhaps wasn't optimal. And so again, there was a sense of wanting and striving for my life to be quite different. I'm sure many people can relate to that in terms of the daily struggle that many people have with regards to the financial difficulties of the time that we're in now, but also importantly in terms of lifestyle, perhaps at different stages in your life. And in my late 20s, I was living a life of not necessarily comfort, a fairly humble, modest living environment. And I had some great flatmates and housemates at that time. But really, I moved to my own apartment then following that time. And again, that was an important next step towards independence. And I had a sort of secondhand sofa and very little furniture at that time. And I also had a fairly toxic relationship as well, which I was ending. It was a time of transition and where I was looking to grow and develop. I was looking for something better, right? And I think that's an important theme that certainly I've experienced in terms of my origin story. My initial dream of being a portrait painter and artist had not really come to fruition, partly due to financial situation. And I think what I realized is that really I was in financial difficulties. I was striving a lot for a better lifestyle and better opportunities, really. I saw the potential, but I wasn't quite sure how to get there in terms of earning and achieving a better role, working for a better type of company with more freedom as well. I think freedom was an important aspect. I didn't have a commuting and all of by having to devote a lot of my time to my professional life. And I started to really see the opportunity as learning more and absorbing the wisdom of various mentors. So, for example, mentors like Bob Proctor, I took programs with and attended Tony Robbins events. And I started to really become interested in terms of the ideas and philosophy of those who had achieved great quality of life and great opportunity through their own efforts. And I think that was what was really crucial. It was about self-learning, self-exploration, but also, that sense of good decision-making and good paths to take to more success and more comfort. And so I really started to go from just consuming that content to applying the learning and taking action and thinking about how I could get to make up that gap. And so increasingly, I started to really build and cultivate my mind into more of a space to learn, grow. I was really taking the opportunity to soak in all of the learning. And I had my first coach as well. I suppose in my success as well, I started to understand that the way to success was a certain amount of discipline and routine, and to really see that as attainable for myself, not just a sort of fairy tale dream, not just something that other people enjoyed. And I think that was an important moment. And at the time, I was really making quite a lot of sacrifices around growth. And I was often living on real basics in terms of having to sacrifice something in order to learn and get the types of courses and education that I really thrived on growth. And that helped me to really transform the learning and the information into tangible skills, which did start to increase my earning potential. And so by an example of my new learning discipline was retaking and passing my driving test, which I had struggled to pass in my late teens. And again, I had largely abandoned the whole thing. But what this proved to me was that by more application, by more dedication, and by more commitment around my learning, that I really could achieve a better quality of life and start to see the benefit. So I really went through quite a mindset shift at this point, and I was really, in terms of those beliefs, I was really starting to let go of old self beliefs and to see that the perception I had of my own opportunity for success was so important to create and so important to work on. And I started to see it as more attainable to me and not just as something for others. And I think that is a key moment in any transition. And so I started to take more small steps towards having a bigger impact. And that was by recognizing my progress looking back, but also through consistent learning, setting myself consistent goals as well. And it was really important to me to not just, like I said, absorb the information, but I started to become interested in applying the knowledge and also teaching others that knowledge. And that is really where I started to create even more of my own opportunities. And it was a very important moment in that path. So what was a key theme and what was a key kind of milestone at this time? I think it was to start to overcome what was my own imposter syndrome around self-doubt, facing fears around inadequacy, reminding myself and seeing how far I was getting to and how far my journey. And that was very important because again, if we want to overcome imposter syndrome and self-doubt, we need to see ultimately some kind of evidence and some kind of difference in our environment and in our habits. And like I said, I was setting myself regular, more achievable goals and really starting to break my dreams, my big dreams, and set those as goals. And I was celebrating each milestone as well. So another thing I was doing was building more of a network. I was starting to connect and network more with more successful people. And that was very important to give me some role models and more examples of success. And as I mentioned, I also had a coach as well. But I really saw it as continuous learning, continuous turning any challenges I had around learning time into opportunities and really committing to more self-improvement around any topic really that would help to either increase my value, increase my earning potential, or even to help me to solve a problem that I had. And I think when I look at today, in terms of building those skills and confidence, taking some calculated risks and starting to see more opportunities, that has really took me a great deal further in terms of my career, in terms of my business, but also importantly in terms of my own growth as well. And really, when I think about some of these key themes, it has been the importance of continuing to set myself challenges and goals around growth and learning, and also helping others on their sales and entrepreneurial journey has been a huge part of that. By being a coach and a mentor now for several years, I have helped others to start to turn their own dreams for their business and their ideas into success. And that is incredibly rewarding and valuable. And I think, again, for anyone who is thinking about how they can get started in terms of self-leadership and how they can improve their potential for in life, it is around taking that self-leadership, taking that accountability very seriously around what standards you hold for yourself, what standards you hold for others. And most importantly, though, it's what ambition you have for yourself and really competing against your former, as it were, previous versions of you, but continuing to strive and grow and seeing that it is viable for you to set ambitious goals, to want and see much more for yourself than you have today. That truly is the way to achieve more and really improve and get so much more abundance and success and results. Again, the aim of this first episode in this new series of my podcast was really to share with you how passionate I am in terms of the importance of growth, development, and learning, and how important that's been in my own journey, and how for those listening who may be looking to cultivate and develop a better quality of life and a better career, how once really you start to take seriously your interest in terms of progress on that path, it does become about, are you willing to, again, put time into setting yourself goals and having goals around those areas? Because again, it really does make a significant difference to have more goals and more of a sense of where exactly you want to go to. Otherwise, you can find yourself pretty much stuck or sitting in a very similar situation years later. So I hope that this has inspired some of you to, with regards to self leadership, to take even more opportunity in self leadership and to really start to set out or move forward to that next stage in your leadership journey, whatever that looks like for you and wherever you are at in life. And it has been my pleasure to share some of my own origin story with the hope to inspire others to follow their own dreams and passions around perhaps moving, whether that be moving out of a corporate lifestyle or whether that be building your own business or building a highly successful career in business. So again, whatever path you are looking for, it is all achievable and possible for you. And I hope that you know how important it is to have this sense of vision and ambition as well around your life and what you can see for yourself. So with that, I will say thank you for listening to this episode, and I'll see you. And I'll hope you'll tune in again for another episode of Aim High Awesome Leaders. Thank you.